NIEC Indonesia. We believe in dreams, act, and succeed.
Untuk menentukan masa depan kuliah di luar negeri, harus dengan langkah yang pasti. Bersama NIC Prioritas, dapatkan banyak kemudahan dalam menentukan masa depanmu kuliah di luar negeri. Prioritas konsultasi dengan konsultan NIC, terkoneksi langsung dengan student di luar negeri, mendapatkan prioritas akses di seluruh event NIC, dan masih banyak keuntungan lainnya yang hanya akan kamu dapatkan di NIC Prioritas Member. Jadilah bagian dari NIC Prioritas Member dan jemputlah impianmu.
Inspired by the work of Edith Cowan, we set out in 1991 to transform lives through education and research, giving our students the tools they need to take on the world. We've come a long way in our 30 years, growing into a modern, vibrant university and accomplishing some pretty incredible things. We've earned a spot in the top 100 young universities worldwide, with our teaching quality consistently ranked among the best in Australia. Our campuses have world-class facilities for teaching and research, with great places to study and relax. And the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts at ECU is one of the most celebrated performing arts academies in the world. We pride ourselves on our forward thinking, delivering up-to-date theory and skills to tackle the problems of tomorrow. And with the announcement of the new ECU City Campus, our future looks brighter than ever.
Jadi tamu spesialnya ada yang pertama Mr. Daniel Sproul.
Yeah, flew away from Perth. Yeah, welcome to Indonesia.
Welcome Mr. Daniel. And Mr. Daniel ini adalah official representative dari TAFE. Dan juga kita kedatangan tamu spesial satu lagi, our honorable guest, Mrs. Natalie.
Miss Natalie Bergen juga terbang langsung dari Perth untuk bertemu dengan teman-teman semua, adik-adik semua yang hadir pada hari ini. So once again, welcome to Indonesia, welcome to Bali. Thank you so much. Yeah, hope you enjoy the most your stay in Indonesia. All right. So Kak Intan, acaranya untuk hari ini seperti apa sih? Mungkin adik-adik yang datang udah bertanya-tanya nih kayak, Kak ini sebenarnya acara apa sih? Apa yang mau kita lakukan hari ini? So bisa dikasih bocoran nggak sedikit?
Oke, hari ini kita akan melakukan presentasi tentang Western Australia. Ada yang udah pernah ke Western Australia nggak? Atau pengen gitu kuliah di Western Australia ya?
Ya, ada yang sudah pernah ke Perth? Ada yang mau ke Perth? Ya, coba diangkat tangannya.
Mau.
Yeay,
Mau banget.
wow. Oke, that sounds amazing. Alright, dan saya yakin dan percaya bahkan ada beberapa student yang sebentar lagi akan pengurusan visa dan mungkin akan berangkat ke Australia. So, we truly hope that your journey it's gonna be beautiful in Western Australia, especially in Perth.
Amin.
Ya, tadi Kak Intan udah sampaikan bahwa akan ada presentasi tentang Western Australia. Jadi kalau misalnya nih Kak Intan yang masih bertanya-tanya nih, kan aku Kak belum pernah ke Perth nih, mau tahu dong gimana di sana kayak kehidupannya, lifestyle-nya seperti apa, pendidikannya, kesempatan kerjanya, maka nanti akan ada presentasinya Kak Intan ya?
Iya, betul sekali. Nanti akan disampaikan oleh Mr. Daniel Squirrel, yang akan nanti menjelaskan tentang bagaimana sih kehidupan di Western Australia, bagaimana student di Western Australia, dan bagaimana Western Australia secara keseluruhan.
Ya, benar banget. Dan as a matter of fact, bahwa Western Australia terutama di Perth adalah terpilih sebagai one of the most livable city in the world. Jadi kayak benar-benar tuh kotanya adalah salah satu yang paling layak huni di dunia. Jadi sangat-sangat luar biasa dari segi public transportation, dari segi kesempatan pendidikan dan segala macam. Australia adalah salah satu yang terbaik terutama di Perth. Kemudian nanti setelah presentasi jangan khawatir karena akan ada rentetan acara selanjutnya, akan ada kuis.
Ya, itu sih yang terpenting ya. Jadi
benar banget.
Selama nanti Mr. Daniel presentasi, kalian bisa banget untuk aktif bertanya ataupun mencatat karena di akhir acara presentasi nanti akan ada Q&A. Kalau udah ada Q&A ada hadiahnya pasti ya Kak Nazar ya.
Oke. Hadiahnya seperti apa is still a secret, but maybe I can give you a clue. So it's gonna be a fresh money.
Oh,
Wow.
Fresh money.
Alright, so pay attention to the presentation because who know guys, you are lucky to get the present. So let's see. And then setelah nanti ada presentasi, kemudian kita ada foto sesi bersama. Di sebelah sini nanti kita akan arahkan bareng-bareng dengan siswa dan juga orang tua. Kita akan berfoto bersama dengan perwakilan kampus dari Australia. Kemudian dilanjutkan dengan breakout room, jadi nanti akan terbagi menjadi 2, di mana Kak Intan yang di sebelah sana nanti untuk Edith Cowan University, dan di sebelah sini nanti adalah TAFE International Western Australia. Ya.
Kak, dari tadi kita ngomongin TAFE International Western Australia dan Edith Cowan University, 2 top kampus nih. Apa sih Kak keunggulannya? Pasti pada bertanya-tanya kan, kok kampus 2 ini ya yang datang ke Bali?
Wow, oke.
Pastinya yang udah kita datengin ke Bali pasti yang terbaik dong ya.
Exactly.
Kak, apa aja sih keunggulannya di TAFE International Western Australia?
Oke, jadi sebelum saya lanjut ke situ, perlu teman-teman ketahui dan mungkin untuk NIC Fellas di seluruh Indonesia yang sedang nonton di YouTube live streaming. Jadi NIC Indonesia kita bekerja sama dengan 25 negara, ada 180 kampus, tapi mungkin bertanya kok Kak yang diundang cuma 2 hari ini, TAFE International Western Australia dan Edith Cowan University, karena memang salah satu top kampus ini adalah salah satu yang terbaik di Australia. Olehnya itu, we present you best of the best. Ya. Tadi TAFE Western Australia mungkin yang bertanya-tanya Kak, itu salah satu keunggulannya apa sih? Nanti kalian akan bisa dengar banyak pada saat sesi presentasinya masing-masing. Tapi satu hal bahwa TAFE International Western Australia ini adalah milik pemerintah dan merupakan institusi atau governor education institution yang ada di Western Australia dan salah satu yang terbaik di sana, memiliki ratusan jurusan dan terbuka untuk siswa internasional. Kemudian yang kedua ada Edith Cowan University. Ya.
Ya, Edith Cowan University ini salah satu top university yang masuk 50 besar universitas terbaik di dunia.
Wow.
Ya,
Okay.
yang under 50 years old.
Ya.
Jadi selama dan juga dapat awards ya Kak ya. 5 tahun berturut-turut
Yeah.
sebagai best university.
Yeah, exactly. So as you know, guys, Edith Cowan University is top 50 university in the world based on the QS ranking under 50 years old. So can you imagine if you pursue your higher education in best of the best university? So that's gonna be amazing. And then they have so many awards. Oke, jadi tanpa ragu-ragu lagi untuk adik-adik nanti pokoknya ditanya-tanya aja di perwakilan kampusnya kira-kira apa sih kelebihannya kampus ini. Alright, so Kak Intan nanti setelah breakout room pasti akan ada hiburannya nih Kak Intan.
Ya bener banget, nanti kita akan ada banyak hiburan di akhir acara. Dan juga jangan lupa tentang scholarship.
Wow, yes exactly. Jadi untuk adik-adik yang datang pada hari ini, so you are actually entitled for a scholarship from our partner. Jadi nanti kalau misalnya Kak aku pengen daftar ke let's say ke kampus Edith Cowan, nanti kalian terkhusus untuk yang datang pada hari ini akan diberikan kesempatan untuk mendapatkan beasiswa yang tidak tanggung-tanggung, itu nilainya hampir 180 juta rupiah. Yes, it's so big. Wow, oke. Terus yang paling menggembirakan, kalau nanti kalian daftar di Edith Cowan University, terus udah tes IELTS nih, nanti Edith Cowan University akan bayarin tes IELTS-nya. Bisa di reimburse. Alright? So, it's really amazing. So, without further ado, let's moving forward to our first agenda today. Jadi hari ini kita akan mendengarkan Kak Intan presentasi.
Ya, presentasi tentang Western Australia dari Mr. Daniel Sprout.
Yeah, so Mr. Daniel, are you ready? Yeah,
Alright,
let's rock the stage. The time is yours.
Please welcome Mr. Daniel Sprout.
All right,
Thank you.
so, okay, Mr. Daniel, I'm gonna your interpreter today.
Thank you, Nazar.
All right,
Hi, everyone. How are you? Good. Now, Nazar's going to do the wonderful job of interpreting my presentation.
exactly.
Yeah, and he's done it in the past for me, and I generally jump around to learn first. We want to learn about the destination. So let's talk about Perth through a video. Or we'll just wait in suspense.
All right. Do you think that we can skip the video first?
We can do.
All right, okay, let's go to the next slide.
So now you just need to imagine what it's like to be in Perth. We'll go to the next slide, that's fine. Okay, so for those of you, have anyone in the room been to Australia before? If you could just put your hands up.
Ada yang pernah ke Australia? Wow,
So we
okay.
have a few people, yes. So Western Australia is on the western side of Australia. Australia being a very big country. In fact, it's significantly big. It's one of the biggest islands, or is the biggest island in the world. But because it's so big, they call it a continent.
Ya, jadi Australia adalah merupakan salah satu pulau yang sangat besar di dunia karena saking besarnya sehingga dia dijuluki sebagai benua.
Perth is our capital city. We have about 2.5 million people in Perth, and we're located in the southwest of Western Australia.
Ya, jadi Perth adalah merupakan ibu kotanya di mana ibu kota dari Western Australia sendiri dan memiliki penduduk kurang lebih sekitar 2,5 juta jiwa.
And we share the same time zone as 60% of the world's population. So the same time zone as here.
Oke, jadi time zone untuk 60% warga dunia.
So it is a really wonderful place to live. The area of Perth, it's actually a little boat shed that no longer exists in terms of being used, but is being used to photograph. So if any of you come to Perth, you will go to the boat shed just for your Instagram photo. Mainly for tourist distractions, but one of the things that we have now there is
yang ada di situ dan kalian pasti akan enjoy ketika nanti kalian berada di sana.
And finally, I'm just going to finish with the Brass Monkey Hotel. This is actually in the North Bridge area, which is one of our nightlife areas of Perth.
Ya, jadi ini adalah merupakan salah satu hotel ikonik di sana yang merupakan bagian dari destinasi yang ada di Perth.
So that's Perth in a postcard. What I wanted to tell you now is about some of what is being said about Perth by others. So by other surveys and other people. For the past 13 years, Perth has been ranked as one of the most livable cities in the world. And that ranking has been done by the Economist Intelligence Unit. So top 10 most livable cities. It's also been ranked 21 out of 230 cities around the world for quality of life.
Ya, jadi ini adalah peringkat kota Perth dari berbagai survei. Yang pertama, selama 13 tahun dinobatkan sebagai top 10 atau top
Affordable. So in terms of us coming out of COVID and the COVID recovery, one of the great everything is not quite working. That's okay. Nassar, did you want me to just pass the microphone? I definitely can't.
Okay, it works.
Okay, all right, good. What happened? Did I turn it off? No, battery. Okay, so in terms of value for money, we are very much a value for money city. This looks at the other, this survey, which was done by the Economist Intelligence Unit, looks at the other cities around Australia. So it looks at the most expensive cities. Okay, and it ranks them. So of 133 cities around the world, this is pre-COVID, but still very much the same could be applied to the cities now. Sydney is the most expensive city in Australia to live in, followed by Melbourne, followed by Adelaide, Brisbane, and then Perth ranks at 46th. So the higher the number that your ranking is, the more affordable the city is to live in.
Thank you. Dari grafik ini kita bisa lihat tentang biaya hidup di kota-kota di Australia, di mana yang paling mahal adalah Sydney, kemudian disusul dengan Melbourne, kemudian dilanjutkan dengan Adelaide, Brisbane, dan Perth. Jadi dari sini kita bisa simpulkan bahwa ternyata Perth adalah kota yang paling affordable untuk hidup di Australia.
So in terms of Perth, it's been ranked as also a city that offers to be one of the safest places in the world according to QS rankings. It also is ranked 24th in the world as one of the best student cities globally, again by our QS best student cities ranking from pre-COVID.
Ya. Perth juga dinobatkan sebagai salah satu kota paling aman di dunia dan menempati ranking ke-24 di dunia dalam hal kota terbaik bagi pelajar di dunia.
So this is just a quote that was said about Spotter Home Healthiest Cities Index. The quote is, "Perth is one of the world's healthiest and sunniest cities. This measurement looked at including hours of annual sunshine, life expectancy, work-life balance, and the number of fast food restaurants in regards to obesity, air quality versus air pollution, water quality, and annual holidays." So we're a very healthy city if you're looking for a place to live and study, and you're looking at the health aspects for you, which has been pretty prominent since we've had COVID. Health and mental health has been a very strong component of why we choose to do things.
Ya, dari sini kita bisa lihat bahwa Perth juga dinobatkan sebagai kota tersehat di dunia, di mana hal ini diukur dari sinar matahari, kemudian life expectancy, angka harapan hidup, kemudian keseimbangan antara kehidupan pribadi dengan pekerjaan, kemudian jumlah restoran cepat saji, kemudian kualitas udara dan kualitas air. Dari semua komponen ini kemudian disimpulkan bahwa Perth adalah kota tersehat di dunia.
This is just showing us Cottesloe Beach again. In fact, there are 19 beaches across a 50-kilometre coast of Perth, with jaw-dropping coastline of about 12,000 kilometres that makes the Western Australia coastline from the top to the bottom. We very much are a transformed city. So our city is changing rapidly, and rapidly for the better. One of the things that we have noticed is we are growing our projects. There's a lot of new attractions in Perth. If you've been to Australia previously and had the chance to visit Perth more than 5 years ago, you would visit our city and not know that it is the same city. It has changed drastically. There are more than 100 vibrant restaurants just in the central business district alone, not including those in the greater metropolitan area.
Ya, perkembangan untuk infrastruktur dan pembangunan di Perth sangat-sangat cepat. Kalau misalnya ada yang pernah berkunjung 5 tahun lalu ke Perth, kemudian berkunjung saat ini, pasti sudah tidak akan mengenali kota Perth lagi karena perkembangannya yang sangat cepat. Untuk di pusat kota bahkan mereka memiliki 100 lebih restoran yang ada di sekitar city center.
It's a great place to choose your place to study. But it also has a number of hotspots in terms of places to go, places to visit, including Elizabeth Quay, as I mentioned, Mudagurrat Bridge. We saw some video footage from Mudagurrat Bridge previously. Yagan Square, Kings Park, Fremantle, the North Bridge Entertainment District, Rottnest Island and the Swan Valley in Perth Hills. There's some beautiful scenery in some of the videos that you've seen already today.
Alright, ini adalah beberapa check out hotspot. Jadi yang akan travel ke Perth, siap-siap untuk mengunjungi semua must visit list ini karena ini adalah merupakan icon-icon yang ada di Perth.
In terms of sporting events, I like my sport. I've been very fortunate to visit some great sporting games. And recently we had Manchester United and Aston Villa come and play at that stadium that you can see there. Now that stadium was actually ranked as one of the most beautiful stadiums in the world just recently. And that is called the Perth Stadium, or what we now know as Optus Stadium. But there's a number of sporting events that we offer. That stadium there, you can see we have played AFL cricket games, we have AFL football games, cricket games, soccer games, rugby games. We have had Ed Sheeran play a concert there. We have had music festivals at that stadium. It's one of the iconic and most futuristic entertainment areas in the world.
Oke, ini adalah merupakan salah satu stadium termegah dan terindah yang ada di Australia, dan stadium di Perth ini dinobatkan juga sebagai the most beautiful stadium in the world. Artinya adalah stadium paling indah di dunia yang menggelar banyak acara-acara internasional dalam bidang keolahragaan dan juga biasa dipakai untuk konser musik.
So, in terms of your Instagram accounts, which are very important to you, it's a picture-perfect place to come and visit.
Ya, ini adalah beberapa area-area yang wajib dieksplor ketika teman-teman atau adik-adik berada di Perth atau Western Australia, terutama yang gemar mengambil panorama untuk social medianya.
So in terms of accommodation, I wanted to quickly talk about what is available to you, okay, in Perth. Now we have accommodation specifically built for students in the centre of Perth, and then our universities also have accommodation on campuses. So the accommodation you see in the background is one of our providers called Campus Perth that is offering accommodation for students. You can book this directly or through the NIEC team.
Ya, ini adalah akomodasi yang kalian bisa book ketika misalnya akan tinggal di Perth, namanya Campus Perth, dan kalian bisa lihat range fasilitasnya seperti apa, mulai dari wifi, air conditional dan utilities, kemudian beberapa fasilitas lainnya yang ada. Dan teman-teman nanti bisa menghubungi NIEC Indonesia ketika misalnya mau menggunakan akomodasi yang ada di sini.
Another accommodation provider is called the Student Housing Company, which is just rebranded as Hugo, that is offering very similar facilities and right across the road from the campus Perth. So another student accommodation tower right in the middle of the city.
Ya, dan mereka mengembangkan lagi satu student akomodasi yang namanya Hugo yang terletak di city center. Jadi nanti akan ada beberapa fasilitas atau option untuk adik-adik bisa tinggal selama di Perth.
And the third one is the Switch. So this is the third student tower that has changed Perth city skyline. And it's recently been built just across the road from where ECU's city campus will be built by 2025.
Ya, jadi ini ada satu lagi akomodasi yang ada di kota Perth yang merupakan salah satu tower khusus untuk akomodasi international student, dan di seberang jalannya nanti akan terletak kampus Edith Cowan University di city center yang sedang mulai pembangunannya dan akan selesai dalam waktu dekat.
So our state government is all about trying to add value to your education. And one of the things that they're doing in terms of best practice is providing best practice in terms of postgraduate and PhD students being able to have their children schooled for free.
Ya, ini adalah merupakan value atau semacam nilai tambah ketika kalian belajar di Australia, di mana ketika misalnya kalian membawa anak-anaknya, maka itu akan bisa belajar secara free di Western Australia.
We've had an international student conciliator since the 1990s that represents your rights as a student.
Ya, di sana juga akan ada student conciliator yang sudah berdiri sejak tahun 1990 yang merupakan bagian dari pemerintah Perth.
And all students, whether they are international or Australian students, will receive a transport discount of 40% for all public transport. So that's buses, trains, ferries, and it's a saving of about $1,000 per year.
Ya, ketika kalian menjadi student di Australia, baik itu adalah orang Australia sendiri maupun internasional, akan diberikan diskon sebesar 40% oleh pemerintah untuk menggunakan public transportasi, di mana itu senilai dengan 1.000 Australian dollar selama setahun.
There's also a lot of other attractions and events that you can get discounts to with our Student Edge card. So the government of Western Australia and the providers of Western Australia, so whether they're accommodation providers or institution providers or healthcare or entertainment providers, are trying their best to work together to provide you the best service possible.
Ya, jadi semua lini yang ada di Western Australia, mulai dari pendidikan, kesehatan, kemudian entertainment, mereka bekerja bersama-sama untuk memberikan servis yang terbaik kepada student yang datang ke sana, termasuk salah satunya adalah memberikan diskon untuk pelajar internasional.
There are lots of different courses that you can choose. Now you'll be able to talk to myself or Natalie about the various courses available at our institutions. But in terms of Western Australia, over 1,000 different courses are available at any one of the institution providers, including our universities. So these are our universities that we have. The private providers and vocational education colleges, and our English language providers for those people that are looking to just study English. Finally, if you're looking at schools, we also have primary and secondary schooling for students.
Ya, untuk di Western Australia sendiri kurang lebih sekitar 1.000 program yang bisa kalian ambil ketika berada di sana. Baik itu ketika kalian ingin mengenyam pendidikan di university, kemudian kalian juga ingin mengenyam pendidikan di institusi seperti TAFE dan juga private atau institusi swasta maupun atau English course yang ada di sana, dan itu tersedia semuanya. Kemudian mereka juga memiliki program untuk primary dan secondary school, jadi untuk anak SD maupun senior kayak SMP dan SMA juga tersedia di sana.
So, in all, it's an opportunity for you to launch your career.
Ya, jadi ini adalah kesempatan yang terbaik untuk adik-adik atau NIEC Pelas yang hadir di sini untuk memperkenalkan dirinya kepada dunia tentang who you are dan mendapatkan karir yang terbaik.
So, this is a bit more interesting and very specific to Western Australia now, where to attract and retain the best and brightest international graduates, Western Australia has implemented the graduate stream to the state-nominated migration program to provide a pathway to skilled migration.
Ya, jadi ada satu lagi program dari pemerintah di Western Australia, yaitu dikenal dengan program Pathway Skill. Jadi ketika misalnya kalian memiliki skill tertentu, itu bisa diberikan slot khusus untuk migrasi atau pindah ke Western Australia.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use your study to launch your career in Western Australia. In terms of Perth, it's a city of growth and prosperity, offering a lot of different employment opportunities. Now, we've had 4.4% growth in terms of our economic growth over an average for the last 10 years.
Ya, kita di sini bisa lihat bahwa dari segi kemakmuran atau ekonomi, Perth sangat bertumbuh dan dalam waktu 10 tahun mereka berkembang sebesar 4,4%.
We have the highest number of Australian stock exchange listed companies than any other state of Australia. In fact, we have 704 publicly listed companies that are based in Western Australia. So what I'm doing is I'm setting the scene for you to look at what could be a way to launch your career.
Ya, dan di Australia sendiri, Perth adalah merupakan salah satu kota dengan perusahaan yang terregistrasi terbaik yang ada di Australia, itu ratusan yang ada di Perth.
So, in terms of Perth, Perth is now being designated as a regional city. What that means is it's a city with more opportunities. So if you're looking at your visas when you finish your study, what are you going to do? One thing that you can do is look at the temporary graduate visa. And this is a graduate visa for students to go on to when they complete their studies.
Ya, Perth juga disimbolkan sebagai kota regional tujuan yang ada di Australia, dan beberapa hal yang adik-adik bisa lakukan ketika selesai kuliah adalah adanya program temporary graduate visa, yaitu kesempatan untuk kalian bisa tinggal dan berkarir di Australia setelah selesai kuliah.
In terms of post-study work stream, Perth students can access an additional year of their study, of their work in Australia from 2021, and an additional 2 years in graduating from a campus outside of Perth. So if you just choose to study in Western Australia, you're going to get more opportunity to continue to work at the completion of your studies.
Ya, dari sini kita bisa lihat bahwa ketika misalnya kalian belajar di Western Australia, kalian akan mendapatkan tambahan lagi 2 tahun graduate visa.
In terms of regional visas, there are now some regional visas where you can look at accessing the ability to study and work as well. So the graduate work stream, Perth students may apply for 1 or 2 skilled regional provincial visas for skilled migrants living outside of Melbourne, Sydney and Perth. The vocational education and training students, for those students, the requirements are that they have a graduate stream of state nomination migration program, or SNMP, and it's extended to include VET graduates of Certificate 3 level courses.
Ya, di ini adalah beberapa kesempatan untuk kalian bisa berpindah tinggal di Perth. Yang pertama namanya adalah Graduate Work Stream. Jadi ini adalah kesempatan untuk yang tidak kuliah di Perth, tapi kuliah di luar dari kota Perth, misalnya Dan untuk selanjutnya adalah ada namanya Vocational Educational Training atau VET student. Jadi bagi kalian yang mengenyam pendidikan seperti di TAFE ini termasuk. Kemudian ada lagi untuk undergraduate stream state nomination atau SNP. Ini bisa untuk yang kuliah mulai dari program sertifikat 3 ke atas, bahkan ELICOS atau kursus bahasa Inggris yang ada di Perth, Australia juga bisa apply program ini.
Nazar, that's fantastic. In fact, you're interpreting everything. So what it actually means is that there's more opportunity for you to find work. Importantly is that last bit where it says you can either get 6 months work experience or 6 months work contract, but you don't need both to apply for the SNMP.
Wow, jadi ini kesempatan yang sangat bagus. Kenapa? Karena tidak memerlukan minimal 6 bulan work contract ataukah 6 bulan riwayat pekerjaan untuk mendaftar program SNP ini.
But we can always answer more questions about that at a later stage. There is what we call a graduate occupation list, and this is where you can find information about the various occupations that exist for state-sponsored migration. Now, in Western Australia, the government has just announced an additional 190 different occupations that you can then apply for as a student going into future employment.
Ya, satu lagi yang disebut dengan graduate occupation list, yaitu state nomination skill visa, di mana ketika kalian apply untuk list pekerjaan yang terdapat di sini, maka kalian juga bisa berimigrasi ke Perth.
So the aim with Perth is, as this statement says, Perth is a connected city offering opportunities for better lifestyle to enable connectivity to global industries and business communities, local and international student communities, and to your hometown.
Ya, jadi ini adalah merupakan moto dari Perth sendiri, di mana Perth Connected City adalah kota penghubung, menawarkan berbagai kesempatan untuk kehidupan yang lebih baik, di mana memudahkan kalian terkoneksi dengan industri, kemudian bisnis community, dan tentunya untuk komunitas pelajar internasional dan kampung halaman kalian.
There is a website for Study Perth. Now, Study Perth, you can search by course, you can search by provider, you can even go and access what's called their Prosper, which is a program which looks at internships and really prospering from your education experience.
Ya, ini adalah salah satu website yang kalian bisa gunakan juga untuk mencari berbagai kesempatan untuk tinggal dan belajar di kota Perth.
Study Perth also offers a number of different social media that you can access. So they do have Facebook, they have Twitter, they have Instagram. They also have a student hub in the city. So if you do become a student of Perth, you can access the student hub where they have a number of cultural events and social events where students from all around the world will come together.
Ya, di samping mereka memiliki website, mereka juga memiliki beberapa social media, mulai dari Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, dan bahkan LinkedIn. Kemudian mereka juga memiliki office student hub di kota Perth, di mana kalau adik-adik nanti berada di Perth bisa mengunjungi student hub tersebut, dan mereka seringkali melaksanakan berbagai kegiatan cultural dan education.
There's a number of official websites where you can get this information from, not just Study Perth, but there are City of Perth, Experience Perth, Tourism Western Australia. There's Perth is OK, there's a Margaret River Wine Region website. So there's a number of official websites where you can access information about studying in Perth, Western Australia.
Ya, jadi bukan hanya di satu website Study Perth yang bisa kalian dapatkan informasinya, tapi ini banyak sekali website. Salah satunya adalah City of Perth, Experience Perth, Tourism di Western Australia. Kalian juga bisa menggunakan hashtag just another way in WA, kemudian Perth is OK, ada juga Margaret River. Jadi banyak sekali website yang kalian bisa pakai.
just coming to the end, what we do in Perth also is we like to welcome our students. And this here is the student welcome desk at our Perth International Airport that is manned by other students and volunteers as well as Study Perth staff to welcome you, to ensure you're ready to enjoy your time in Perth, and to provide you with a bit of a gift pack, which includes your first SIM card while you're studying in Perth, an Uber ride voucher, and a few different other things like water bottles, a Perth Insider Guide book so you know how to get around Perth. What little things like that they provide for you?
Oke, di Perth sendiri mereka memiliki tim yang akan menjumpai setiap pelajar internasional yang baru pertama kali terbang ke Perth. Mereka ada di airport atau di bandara, timnya dari Study Perth, dan mereka akan menyambut kalian, kemudian memberikan beberapa souvenir ke kalian, termasuk salah satunya adalah SIM card dengan paket data di dalamnya, dan water bottle, kemudian ada juga voucher untuk Uber, dan lain-lainnya.
Well, Grab.
Yeah.
Not Uber. But
All
Grab.
right.
We have
Uber.
We have Uber. You have Grab.
All right.
So that's the end of the presentation in terms of learning about Perth, Western Australia. In what I have found is that the great thing about studying in Perth for you as a student is that the institutions, the state government, and the providers of both vocational university, accommodation, schooling, they all come together to help you. So if you're a student that's looking for support and you're a student that's looking to live somewhere close to Denpasar, far enough away to start a new life, close enough to have your life here, Perth is the place to come.
Ya, jika NIC Velas mencari tempat di mana institusi pendidikan, kemudian fasilitas yang disediakan oleh pemerintah, program pemerintah, terintegrasi menjadi satu bagian, dan juga mencari kota yang tidak terlalu jauh dari Denpasar, maka Perth bisa menjadi salah satu destinasi terbaik adik-adik semuanya.
So, now you've been listening, you know everything about Perth. My colleague Natalie is going to quiz you for some prizes. Okay, so are you all ready? Do you all know how to play Kahoot?
Alright, so untuk NIC Velas dan semuanya yang hadir pada hari ini, kita akan memasuki sesi selanjutnya, yaitu sesi kuis, di mana akan dipandu oleh Miss Natalie dan akan memberikan beberapa pertanyaan yang hadiahnya sangat menarik, fresh money. Jadi siap-siap untuk adik-adik atau teman-teman semua yang hadir hari ini untuk menjawab pertanyaannya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. I work at Edith Cowan University. I'm actually originally Canadian. I moved to Perth 12 years ago. I was going for 1 year, but I fell in love. I fell in love in Perth also 4 years later, but I fell in love with Perth first. And so I stayed in Perth now. I've been there 12 years. So Dan's told you a lot of information about Perth. Now we're going to do a quiz. What are you going to need for the quiz is your phone. It's going to be on your phone. Have you done Kahoot before? Raise your hand. Oh, we've got a couple people.
Yeah.
It's going to be in English, so you have to guess.
Alright, jadi silahkan menggunakan handphonenya untuk kuisnya. Jadi namanya adalah Kahoot websitenya. Jadi kalian bisa lihat nanti di sini. Nanti akan dipandu bersama-sama sama Miss Natalie. Ya, sambil menunggu sedikit informasi tentang Miss Natalie. Miss Natalie adalah official representative atau perwakilan dari Edith Cowan University. Beliau adalah warga negara Kanada, cuman sudah tinggal di Australia kurang lebih sekitar 12 tahun. Pertama kali datang ke Australia, dia langsung jatuh cinta dengan Perth, kemudian memutuskan untuk tinggal di sana.
Okay, so there's going to be prizes for this. Third prize is 200,000. Very rich. Yes, it is. Okay. So you can, I guess you already figured out how to do it, but you go onto www.kahoot.it. And then you have your PIN. So you put your PIN in and you put your name.
Ya, caranya adalah masuk ke www.kahoot.it, kemudian masukkan kode PIN-nya dan tulis namanya. It should be have. Ya, beberapa sudah masuk. Sekali lagi caranya.
All right, we have 16 players so far.
Ya, Wi-Fi-nya ada di sebelah sana, silahkan dilihat. Kelihatan nggak Wi-Fi coach-nya? Yang mau join silahkan. Caranya sekali lagi masuk di www.kahoot.it, kemudian game pin-nya 4108614.
All right. Dan, I need you to if you turn it around, it's fine. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, we've got, all right, 25. All right, everyone's ready? Still waiting. So how do you win this game? You have to get the right answer and you have to be quick. Okay, so you're tested on correct and speed.
Ya, jadi penentuannya adalah siapa yang paling benar menjawab dan paling cepat. Jadi benar dan cepat.
Ready? I think we can start. Yes? Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First question. Oh, countdown again. First question. This is no wrong answer. So what is your favorite Australian animal? Just put the first letter. First letter of your favorite Australian animal. There's no wrong answer, right?
Jadi pertanyaannya adalah hewan.
Ya, silahkan. Oke, silahkan ditulis huruf pertama dari hewan favorit kalian yang ada di Australia. Huruf pertamanya saja.
Okay, a wolf. All right. So we've got a few K's there. Kangaroo, interesting spelling on some. Koala, yes, of course, you can see koalas. And there are no wolves. For wolves, you have to go to Canada. Sorry. And yes, the quokka, the very famous quokka. You know where you can see a quokka? Do you know where you can see a quokka in Perth? There's an island called Rottnest Island. It's the only place that quokkas live in the whole world. Very unique. All right, so no scoreboard on that one. It was just to practice, so everyone understands, okay? So next, how many times can you fit Indonesia into Australia? The size of it, not the population. So how many times can you fit Indonesia into Australia? Ah, very good. 12 people got that. I'm sure you're guessing though. So 4 times. So Indonesia is a big country, right? But Australia is even bigger. It's a very big country. All right, let's see the scoreboard. Here we go. It is in the lead. Things can change quite quickly though.
Where is Alit? Oh, okay.
Okay, next. How long are the direct flights from Bali to Perth? Less than 4 hours, more than 4 hours, more than 6 hours, more than 10 hours.
Ya, berapa lama penerbangan dari Bali ke Perth?
I know Dan said this. Ah, very good. Yes, it's less than 4 hours, just 3.5 hours, and you arrive in Perth. Very close. It's the closest place that you can go from Perth is to Bali. That's why there's so many people from Perth running around the streets in Bali. Okay, so we still have our leader. Hasn't been bumped off yet. Next question. Multi-select, you can choose more than one answer. Which of these were invented in Australia?
Ya, ini bisa pilih lebih dari satu, yang manakah di bawah ini yang ditemukan di Australia? Yang penemuannya ada di Australia.
It's a trick question. All of them have been invented in Australia. Isn't that amazing? I didn't even know that until I built the question. Let's see the scoreboard. Oh, there we go. It's changed. All right. Oh, and someone's on fire here. Okay. Next question. True or false? You can see kangaroos in Perth.
Ya. Bisa dipilih benar atau salah. Apakah kalian bisa melihat kanguru di Perth?
Yes, it is absolutely true. Lots of kangaroos, no wolves. On my drive to work, I can see kangaroos every day. They're not going to walk around in your backyard, but you can see them every day if you want to. In the wild, in the parks. Oh, change. All right. And someone else is on fire. Oh, very good. Next question. True or false? Bali and Perth are in the same time zone.
Bali dan Perth adalah memiliki zona waktu yang sama. Apakah benar atau salah?
Wow, almost everyone got that right. Yes, it is true. It's one of the easiest places to come because we're in the same time zone. Very easy to communicate with your family when you're in Perth. Oh, no change. All right, next question. Which of these is Perth's weather cousin? What kind of temperature is in these cities so similar to Perth? Everyone guessed Bali. No, Bali is very hot compared to Perth. Very humid, right? It's similar temperature, but yeah, very humid, so it feels much hotter here. than in Perth. But Los Angeles, very close weather-wise. So only 7 people got that right. Let's see the scoreboard. Oh, there's a change. Very exciting. Okay, next question. Where can you get a selfie with a quokka? I said it before. Yes, it's Rottnest Island. If you Google celebrities with quokkas, you'll see so many famous people have gone to Rottnest Island just to get a selfie with the quokka. It's a very friendly little animal. Okay, we're gaining here, but we've got someone. Who is this? Number 1. Oh, you're doing very well. Very well. He's the one to beat. All right, next question. Double points. How much is the student transportation discount in Western Australia?
Kalau menjawab dengan benar, maka poinnya dikali 2.
Oh, 40, oh, a lot of you got that right. Awesome. Dan did say that. So it's 40%. This actually really makes a difference to your cost of living when you're saving that much on your transportation. Oh, it changed. Double points, it changes. Okay, very good. Next question. What is the minimum wage in Australia? You're going to have to guess this one. What is the minimum wage in Australia? This is in Australian dollars.
Upah minimum di Australia
Okay, yes. So it's $20.30 an hour. How much is that in rupiah?
200.000 lebih ya per jam.
Ooh, rich. And actually, our students usually are making more than that because they're working on Saturday and Sunday. They're working on the weekends, and then you get even an extra percentage to your wage, or even in the evenings, right? So students often are working outside of a 9 to 5 regular work week, and therefore they earn more per hour. It's really good. Okay, no change. Let's see, we've got 3 questions left. The free buses in Perth and Joondalup are named... Okay, yes, they're called a cat bus, and you can see, oh, you could see before, there's a cat on the bus. What does that stand for? Central Area Transport. So right in the middle of the city, you can ride the bus for free. More savings in your transport. Also in Joondalup, where the ECU main campus is, we also have a free bus there. Okay, 2 more questions. Last question is double points. So get ready. True or false? Perth has the largest inner city park in the world. Yes, it is true. So Kings Park is Really a beautiful place, and a beautiful place for you to go and hang out. Lots of things to see, native plants, and you can take your picnic, lots to do. Last question here. Last question. It's going to determine who's going to go home with the prizes. It's double points. Okay? Are you ready? It's a true or false question, so you have to be super quick. True or false? Double points. True or false? ECU and TAFE are the best places to study in Perth. True or false? Double points. It is true. Who said no? It is true. I think maybe you know who wrote the quiz, right? Let's see who won. So we're going to see the podium now. You'll have to come up, right? You'll have to reveal your identity. Oh, Felix.
Wow.
Congratulations. Ali. And the winner is
Gede Chandranata. Wow.
Very good.
Oke, ya silahkan naik ke atas panggung untuk ke depan. Gede Chandranata, kemudian Felix dan Alit.
Come on in. Oh, very good. See, now we know who's been listening. Very good. And maybe we can just get a quick, oh yeah, the cameras are ready. Get a quick photo with Dan as well. Ah. Are we in order already? Up. Third. Second. Yes, our photo.
Ya, sekali lagi selamat kepada seluruh pemenang yang mendapatkan uang sebesar 500.000, 300.000, dan 200.000 rupiah masing-masing secara berturut-turut untuk pemenang pertama, kedua, dan ketiga. Ya, very big applause for the sponsor of the quiz, Edith Cowan University. Alright, ya.
Baik, karena kuisnya sudah selesai, saya persilakan sebelum kita ke acara inti, saya persilakan kepada student dan juga orang tua untuk berfoto bersama dengan seluruh representatif. Silakan Ibu, Bapak, adik-adik, silakan maju ke depan, kita berfoto bersama.
Ya, setelah sesi foto bersama, kemudian akan langsung pembagian ruangan untuk masing-masing yang mau ke Perth, yaitu di Edith Cowan University di sebelah sana nantinya, kemudian TAFE Western Australia di sebelah sini. Oke, silahkan maju ke depan untuk adik-adik dan juga bersama dengan orang tua untuk kita bisa foto sesi bersama, dan kegiatan ini juga akan dilaporkan langsung ke pemerintah di Western Australia karena ini merupakan salah satu event dari divisi pendidikan yang ada di sana.
Baik, Ibu Bapak, kami persilakan maju ke depan panggung untuk berfoto bersama dan juga adik-adik dipersilakan.
Good. There we go. I'm not used to speaking into a microphone because I don't really listen to my voice too much. But okay, so TAFE. My presentation is for TAFE because I work for TAFE International. So before I spoke to you a little bit about Perth and Western Australia, but now I really want to speak to you about who I work for and my role. I've been coming to Indonesia for many years. Yep. So my first time to Indonesia was 2004. I previously used to work for Study Perth when it was called Perth Education City. And I helped do the education missions and the road shows to Indonesia for more than 7 years. Okay, so we used to travel all around Indonesia. And I fell in love with Dempsey. Fell in love with coming to Bali. I'm very much a person from Perth that has realized we have very close connections to Bali and to Indonesia. And in fact, our state has a sister state agreement with East Java, where we have reciprocal arrangements with helping both the people in Australia and also the people in Indonesia that are based in Perth or in East. But today I want to talk to you about TAFE International. Okay? So who is TAFE? Well, and what is TIWA? Okay, so TIWA is TAFE International Western Australia. So we are the international education arm, or the TAFE education arm for international students. So as an international student and you want to study at TAFE, one institution, you're studying at a network of TAFE colleges. So I'll explain that all to you now in this. So what is TAFE? Well, a couple of things that you might not know. TAFE, TIWA, or TAFE WA, it's the same. Okay? So these are acronyms, and they're the same acronyms, meaning the same thing. TAFE is a government institution because I work for an international arm of TAFE. We have a large range of courses, more than 100 in fact, you can choose from. We are a recognized BET qualification. Recently wanted to give more information to you about the state-sponsored migration, which I did previously. That all sits within TAFE. So now I'm going to call on Dedi. Okay, Dedi's going to help interpret some of what TAFE does. So TAFE teaches courses at certificate, diploma, and advanced diploma level.
Oke, jadi untuk pertama di sini bersama Daniel Sprague ini sudah dari tahun pertama itu ke Bali tahun 2004. Jadi selama kemudian juga ada perjanjian juga dengan Dinas Pendidikan Australia untuk mengadakan event ini seperti itu. Kemudian untuk TAFE Western Australia sendiri di sini ada beberapa course yang nanti kalian bisa ambil. Untuk yang pertama itu dimulai dari sertifikat 2 di situ sampai advanced diploma atau D4.
So these are different levels. Okay, so it's part of the Australian qualification. And the Australian Qualifications Framework, or the AQF, goes from 1 through to level 10. So level 1 being a certificate 1, level 10 being a PhD.
Oke, jadi kalau di Australia tuh sistem pendidikannya sedikit berbeda dengan Indonesia. Di sana ada framework namanya Australian Qualification Framework. Kemudian di sini mulai dari level 1 sampai level 10.
So most of the courses that we are teaching are between level 1 and level 6. So advanced diploma would be a level 6.
Ya, untuk TAFE Western Australia sendiri ini dari level 1 sampai level 6.
And we teach these courses at our various TAFE colleges. So we have 2 colleges in the Perth metropolitan area, that is North Metropolitan TAFE and South Metropolitan TAFE. Okay, so that's the purple and the red. Then we have two regional colleges. So the regional colleges are teaching their courses in the regional areas of Western Australia. So it includes Bunbury, Margaret River, and Geraldton. So that's the green group.
Oke, jadi kalau TAFE Western Australia ini kampus yang besar, jadi ada 4 kampus yang terdiri dari regional kampus itu Central dan South, kemudian Metropolitan Campus di North sama South.
This is an example of what just 3 of our campuses look like. Okay, so in the top left, you have our Joondalup campus. In the top right, you have our South Metropolitan TAFE campus in Murdoch. And the bottom centre is our Perth campus in North Queensland.
Ya, jadi ini beberapa tampilan dari kampus TAFE Western Australia, ada di Murdoch, ada di Perth juga. Dan ini gambaran yang bisa nanti kalian lihat saat kuliah di TAFE Western Australia.
These are just 1, or just 3 I should say, 3 of 19 campuses in the Perth metropolitan area.
Ini adalah 3 dari 19 kampus yang ada di metropolitan area.
Now, what can you expect when you're on our campus? Well, I thought it's easier to show you, okay, in these little quick pictures. So we have commercial kitchens and restaurants that our students will learn and work in. We have laboratories for students to do lab technology. We will have our health and medical clinics. In fact, one of our training clinics for nursing is an emergency hospital, where if there was ever a situation where we needed more hospital beds, they would open up our training centre as an actual hospital ward. We have a process plant where students can do their engineering, process plant, petroleum engineering. We have health, beauty and wellness centres where students are learning remedial massage, they're learning hair and beauty. So we have a beauty salon and beauty technicians where paying customers come to our clinics to receive their treatment. We have an aquaculture fish farm on campus, where we would sell fish to paying business-to-business clients. We have our land and environmental facilities, particularly in the agricultural space and horticultural space. And lastly, but not least, we have 2 veterinary clinics on campus where students can do animal studies or vet nursing.
Ya, jadi itu ada beberapa yang bisa kalian temukan di TAFE Western Australia karena ini merupakan kampus yang ada teori dan langsung prakteknya. Jadi tadi kita bisa ngelihat kayak ada untuk kitchennya, dapur, kemudian ada tadi hospital juga, di sini ada beauty, kemudian pusat kecantikan untuk ladang ikan seperti itu dan beberapa fasilitas lainnya yang bisa dipraktikkan langsung di situ.
We have engineering workshops. We have maritime simulators and boats for students that are doing maritime. We even have planes and airplane hangars for students that are doing servicing, paying. We can do that through using our online university pathway finder. That allows you to look at what the courses you study with us, and then pretty much what I'm explaining in the packaging, which is
Di TAFE Western Australia juga bekerja sama dengan beberapa university terbaik di Perth. Di sini ada Edith Cowan University, Murdoch dan juga Carleton University. Di sini ada beberapa program yang bisa kalian ambil. Yang pertama online, ini Pathway. Kemudian package, jadi daftar itu langsung ke 2 kampus. Kemudian articulation itu untuk mempersingkat waktu kalian.
the opportunity for you then is, okay, now I've done that, I can either go, because I've gone for the job ready program, I can look towards skilled migration, or I can go to university and do my Bachelor of Commerce. If you do your Bachelor of Commerce, you do 2 years of study in Australia, you're then eligible for the graduate visa, which we call post-study work. Okay, so that temporary graduate visa is a subclass 485, and it gives you the chance to work in Australia for 2 years in any field of employment and gain your work experience. And just because you choose Perth, you get an extra year because regional status. So that's 3 years. So now you've got two opportunities. One is the Job Ready program, where you can work through this program. The other is you've got the
Setelah selesai dari TAFE Western Australia. Kemudian yang ketiga, kalian juga bisa masuk untuk graduate ya. Jadi graduate visa, kalian bisa kerja setelah lulus dari TAFE Western Australia. Kemudian kalau kalian misal pengen ke kampus juga bisa untuk temporary graduate visa. Seperti itu.
So the aim would be, you know, we have people employed as nurses, we have people employed in as pastry chefs or patissiers, and we have people employed in childcare coming through these various programs. In terms of student support, one of the things that's important is you feel supported as a student. So at TIWA and TAFE, we have two levels of support for you. One is as an international student, you get the support from TIWA, so that's within the team that I work within, and the other is through the college. Okay, so the college offers, they have an international student support team that will then support your needs, and there's a lot of things that they offer, but the main thing is they're a very experienced staff. Okay, so the staff that I've been working with, I've been at TIWA since 2014, so this is my 8th year working within. I've been in this industry since 2003. I've started a long time ago doing what I do, and I've met a lot of students, a lot of family members, and the focus on what we offer is experience. So you having experience gives you a safety net. So we know that you need help, we know or have the experience to help. Expenses. It's pretty important that you understand the costs of your study. Okay? So a diploma of business will cost you $6,240 for 1 semester. The diploma of business is 2 semesters. So that's just over $12,000. Okay? That it will cost you for your tuition. If you look at our semester fees, our course fees are based on semester. So what we do is we replicate this semester fee. So you multiply the duration that your course is going to take by that 1 semester fee. The semester fees don't change, even though you might be going through the levels. So say you start as a Cert 3 in commercial cookery, the 2 semester. Then you have the Cert 4 in commercial cookery, that's a 1 semester. The fee doesn't change, it's just that the fee goes up, total fee goes up because you're doing an additional semester. What does change are the resources fees and the materials fees. You'll see that they're listed there underneath. Additional fees, they can be anything from no additional fee through to about $3,600 is our most expensive resource fee. I've listed there Australian government 18,000. Some of you might be asking the question, what does that mean? Well, that's roughly what the government's expecting you to know it will cost you to live in Australia. So they've actually upped that fee now. I think it's about $21,000. But you don't need to show any financial documentation. You just need to be aware. As Indonesians, you need to be aware that it does cost money to live in Australia, which we know. It's very common sense. But you also need to know that your minimum wage is about $20 an hour. Okay, so anyone that's looking to go to Australia and get part-time work, your part-time work does allow you to earn some good money. And at the moment, as long as you can maintain your study load, so in other words, we do we do like a roll call on you attending, we call it attendance, attending your classes. So as long as you can maintain your attendance at 80%, okay, you can work full time, according to the Australian government. Because what they've done at the moment is they've extended the pandemic measures of COVID because we don't have the skilled workers. And there's a lot of jobs available. We have the lowest unemployment rate in Australia in decades and decades. It's like 3% unemployment. If you want a job, you can get one very easily because we just don't have the workers. And you see, when you come to Perth, you see all the restaurants or the cafes or all the places where there would usually be signs out the front. They all have signs out the front saying workers needed. Looking for a job, employ within, apply within. There is your lifestyle and work dependent costs. You've got to be aware of those. And the last one I've got there is your overseas student healthcare cover, and that's about $600 a year. So those are some of the costs you've just got to be aware of while you're studying. Freezes when I don't. Accommodation. So this looks at sort of your rental charges. So private renting is between $120 to $180 a week for a room. And look at the student villages at Murdoch University, one of our university partners, and Edith Cowan University. You can stay on their campus, in their campus living as a student of TAFE. And you're roughly between $170 to $190 a week there. Homestay is your most expensive option, but what that comes with that is that you're getting the experience of living with an Australian host family, and you're generally getting your meals paid for you. So you don't need the additional expenses of cooking your own food, and where the rental, it's up to you to learn how to cook and to make your meals and things. Campus Perth and student housing offer accommodation options as well, and they range from anywhere between, I think, $200 and up per week. And lastly, some students, I've got many different arrangements there, but some students choose to live in shared accommodation. Okay, so shared accommodation is living with other students. What generally we see as a trend is that students might come and they're learning about Perth, or they're learning about being an overseas student in a foreign country, so they go into homestay. That's the first option, because mum and dad feel safe and the student feels safe. The next option is about 6 to so months after they go, oh, we could probably share with a friend. I've got a friend that I've made, and they go into shared accommodation, so they might go into shared rental. Or they may choose to rent on their own, or go into one of the campus living options like Campus Perth or Hugo, or living at one of the universities. So those generally the trend. Most of the time they start in homestay and then they go from. Some students never leave homestay. Okay, so I met a student from Denpasar many years ago. She came to study in Perth. She did hospitality. Before it was trendy, before it was popular, she did the course. And she then went on to do her over to ECU, and she went through and did her bachelor's degree, and then she went on to Masters of Hospitality and Management, Tourism and Hospitality. All of that time, she stayed with a homestay host. She felt they sort of created a bond, and she became like a family member. And as a result, when she graduated, she had spent 6 years living with this same family. So they treated her like a daughter. And that's also some of the benefits of going into homestay, is you get to create some lifelong bonds as well. If you have Facebook, which most of our younger generation will, but also we seem to find that it's the older generation that have Facebook now. The younger generation have moved on to Instagram and TikTok and all the other, Snapchat and all the other social media platforms. But you can go to our Facebook page. We have a lot of information on there. We do have a YouTube channel which you can access via our website, and there's a lot of information on our YouTube channel which looks at not just courses, but it looks at students' life. Like, you want to understand what it's like to be a student in Perth, study at TAFE, you just go to our YouTube channel and you'll get a lot of the testimonials from those students, and they tell you what it's like. You can do a lot of research about the destination, the course, even your lecturers from our YouTube channel. And to finish off, what I would like you to do is we're going to play a quick video. Now, you might have seen this video playing at the beginning of the presentations before we started. But what I would like you to do is count how many classrooms you see. Okay? Just count how many classrooms you see. I'll ask you the question and we'll see if we can get it right through this video. We couldn't get it to play before. because they know that they're going to need those workers in 3, 4, 5 years to become paid employees of those companies. And that's the strength of TAFE. That's the strength of vocational training, is that we are teaching you how to do your skill the best way possible to take you into the work. And as a result, to finish off, if you do want to come to Perth, you're more than welcome to come and join us there. I do thank you very much for your time with me today. Do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions about studying with us?
Ada pertanyaan terkait kuliah di TAFE Western Australia?
Everyone's very shy. Maybe some of our team on, maybe some of our viewers online have some questions.
Ya, jadi untuk tadi ada pertanyaan, silahkan. Oke, silahkan untuk namanya, asal sekolah sama pertanyaannya ya.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Adi Satria. I'm graduate from Indonesian Aviation Polytechnic recently, and I have a dream to have work outside Indonesia, of course, and outside Bali, and one of them in Perth, as you say. And for the question is, I would like to ask about the payment of campus. If you can give us a simulation about the payment, about our, for example, we get a coworker and somewhere else with you said the payment was to $20 per hour, and how about the simulation if we paid that, and how to we paid our campus and our study there? Maybe that's all. Thank you.
Test this. Yeah, this is working. Good question. Is this still working? Yeah, it's still working. Good question. So the way tuition fees are paid, generally a student will pay their first semester fee up front. So the process for applying application form, let's switch them on. Yes, so the application process is you lodge your application forms, which include your academic transcripts. It would include if you've got, we need to know your English competency level. So students can do the English placement test that we offer through the NIEC office. Okay, so you can actually go to NIEC, lodge your application and do an English placement test there. That application then comes through to us, and our admissions team will do an assessment of the application to see what credentials you have and how it would meet our entry requirement, and if so, we would send you a letter of offer. In that letter of offer has a letter of acceptance. That letter of acceptance includes things like your name and details, the course name and details, the total tuition fee cost, as well as the tuition fee deposit for your confirmation of enrolment. Now, you need a confirmation of enrolment, or a COE, for your visa. Okay, so to answer your question, how much do you need to pay for your COE? You need to pay your first semester tuition fee plus your overseas healthcare cover for the total of your course. So if you're studying a 2-year course with us, you need the first semester fee only. Okay, so say it's a business or one of those courses, it's going to be $6,240. Plus, then you'll need your overseas healthcare cover for the duration of that study. So for 2 years, so that's going to be $1,200. So roughly, you're going to need about $8,000 in terms of that deposit. Then once you arrive in Australia, you can request to go on a payment plan for your second semester and subsequent semesters that you study with us. And that payment plan, there's no fee for that. Okay, you just need to lodge an application to our customer services team, and they will then put you on what we call a 5-payment payment plan. And that 5 payments, so you pay initially in a deposit, and then you would pay 5 equal payments through the semester to pay off the remainder of your tuition fee. And a lot of students do that because what they can do is, you mentioned your $20 an hour. That's an average of the minimum wage. But what you can do is you can go and find a job, and you can work and use some of that money to pay off your tuition fees. And because you're doing a payment plan option, you don't need to pay all your tuition in one go for that semester. You can pay it over the semester. But what we do ask is we ask students to pay the first semester upfront, because what we're trying to ensure that you do is you don't get yourself in financial trouble before you arrive in Australia. It's important that students are seen by the Australian government to have remember the $18,000 I explained to you? So the Australian government wants students to be aware that it costs money to live in Australia, and they ask that you at least show that you've paid a significant amount of your tuition before you arrive in Australia. So they generally ask the first semester of tuition fees. Now, in terms of your employment, if you are doing hospitality, we would offer you in a simulated work placement, so there's no payment for that. Okay, so a lot of your work placements, we don't pay you for that. That's part of the course. But what comes of that is that if you're ever needed by either one of the restaurants or one of the 5-star hotels, or even our Crown Casino that we have, where they do the big banquet dinners and big events, they come and call our team. They usually come and call TAFE the students that want to work, and you will get paid for that. Or if you decide to go and get a part-time job, you will get paid for that, and those work hours count towards your hours to meet the Job Ready program. So any external work that you do counts. Any other questions?
Oke, thank you. Untuk pertanyaan yang lain, mungkin ada yang ingin ditanyakan langsung? Silakan. Any other question? Ya, jadi untuk pembayarannya di TAFE Western Australia, untuk yang pertama itu bisa pembayaran 1 semester. Setelah itu nanti biasanya teman-teman itu bisa langsung bisa kerja part time seperti itu, dan lumayan juga tadi ya, kurang lebih 200.000 per jam. Nanti biasanya untuk selanjutnya, payment selanjutnya itu bisa dengan uang kerja part time kalian, karena di sana itu belajarnya hanya 20 jam selama 1 minggu. Gitu. Oke, ada pertanyaan lain? Dari teman-teman adik-adik atau mungkin dari Bapak Ibu juga silahkan kalau ada yang ingin ditanyakan.
I have a question for people. Yeah. Have you learnt a little bit about Perth tonight? Have you learnt some more? Yeah. So if you've learnt some more, what were some of the things that you learnt? Tell me some things that you picked up from either my presentation or Natalie's presentation or the major state one. What were some of the things that you learnt? Yeah, it's very close to Bali. Yeah, so that means that it's very easy for mum and dad to be in contact with their child. Yeah. Safe? Yeah, it is. It's a very safe place. Yeah. I like that one because I'm a parent. I have teenage children, and for me, they're at not quite yet at the age to look to study abroad or to study elsewhere, but that's a big concern for me, is to make sure that I can reach them and contact them. And the other is that they're safe. Yeah, really, that's important. So, the thing that I like about the connection between Perth and Bali is that we have a lot of flights backwards and forwards, and they're direct. It's very easy to get a plane if you ever need to get down to Perth, and vice versa, to get your family member from Perth to Bali. Very easy. Some of the other things that I like is you might have picked up on is that whilst Perth is safe and whilst Perth is close, we have a bit of a growing economy there. So it offers a lot to students, and we have a skill shortage. So we have a lot of opportunities for students now that didn't exist before. When I remember there was a time where Perth was very expensive, where Perth didn't have a lot of, there wasn't a huge amount of work there, and that's all changed now. So whilst it was very, COVID was a very stressful and very sad time, I think coming out of COVID we've been able to reset some of what we can offer students. And I know students are being very frustrated because they haven't been able to go to Australia for 2.5 years. It's very frustrating for me because I have a lot of friends that are up here in Indonesia, and I used to love coming to Indonesia. And there was 2.5 years where I wasn't able to meet my friends. But it's given everyone a new opportunity to sort of reset and start again and look at what are some of the options that you have as students. Any other things that you might have noticed? Anything else you picked up?
About the study in Australia is because I heard that Australian government is very strict. People come to the Australia because that's a pandemic or.
Yeah, not really anymore.
Not
So
really.
if you would said, if we'd had that question at the beginning of this year, our Western Australian border wasn't even open. So in January this year, the Western Australian border was still closed. The Australian border had just opened. The Australian border opened on December the 14th.
So do you think is no problem? If
No,
we
now it's
study?
it's completely changed.
Oh, okay.
So in that period of time, one of the things that we had is we had a change of government. Okay, so we have a new Prime Minister, Prime Minister Albanese, and he's already gone out to the rest of the world where he's trying to open up as much as he can, as quickly as he can, to welcome people back to Australia. So that aspect has changed. Our state government, so Western Australia was the last state to close, but it was also the last state to open. We did not open until March, and we were closed even from our other parts of Australia. So I don't know if that happened here in Indonesia, but it's like Bali being closed to East Java. That's what happened to us in Western Australia. We were closed off completely from the rest of Australia, and then it changed. Once we opened up, once we realised that we had moved to a point where 98% of Western Australians were double vaccinated or triple vaccinated. Once we got to that critical point, they just opened everything up. So we don't wear masks. We ever wear masks on public transport. The death rates for COVID are very low. Hospitalizations, yes, you get a lot of hospitalizations for COVID, but it's more like flu symptoms So they're coming in just to double check. They've tested positive to a COVID test, so they come and check, then they just get transmitted back home. So it's a different situation now to what it was 6 months ago. And I think it will continue to move that way. We're moving away from being closed towards now being very open.
Are you concerning or talking about the study or just the global?
No, I'm talking more the government, not so much the students. So when we talk students, we're talking student visa. Okay. Now the big problem we have with the student visa is there's a significant backlog in the visa processing because we've had a lot of workers, we've had a reduction in staff, and then as a result, a reduction. People have left their jobs. That's what's happened. People have left jobs.
Because I just heard that applying the visa
takes a long time.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. So that's very temporary at the moment, and why that's temporary is because
Are they make a difference applying visa, educational and then job?
They're different things. Yeah, they are different. Yeah. So if you're coming to Australia to study, you're coming on a student visa. Okay. So the student visa is taking a little bit longer to process at the moment, but the government's assured the institutions, so the providers, that they're trying to speed up the process. They've put staff on working weekends at the moment. They're trying to build their teams up to try to push through the backlog. So they're hoping by the time semester 1 comes for next year, so 2023, that everything will be back to normal in terms of processing times. At the moment, there's not much we can do about that.
Do you think that's the applying educational is very easier than looking for the job?
They're different. They're very different. A student visa is easy in the sense of what you need to submit. Okay, there's very easy to follow guidelines that they provide to both students or the education agent networks to follow with regards to submitting paperwork and applying for your student visa. But the one thing is if you're not sure about how to do it, it's easy for you to use an education agency like NIEC because they're the experienced in doing that and helping getting the paperwork through. They can't have nothing the institutions can do about the backlog except, work with the government at the moment to try to help them get that back.
So the point is no problem right now.
Yeah, no, in terms of it hasn't changed in that respect. And if anything, I think it's the opposite. I think it's probably better than a worse scenario. Because one of the things that Australian government has recognised in this time, and also the state government, is the importance of international students and what they bring to Australia. What there's a fabric to Western Australia that's missing. It's the same at the moment when I'm coming around in Denpasar. I've only been here since yesterday, but the tourism industry is significant to Denpasar or to Bali. So if that fabric is missing, there's something missing in your community. And that's what we noticed in Perth and in Australia. If international students aren't able to come to study in Western Australia, there's a fabric that's missing because a lot of those students, they're working, they're doing something that add to the culture, that add to the environment. So if they're not there, we're missing something that is part of our culture and environment and has been for many years. The international students have been coming to Australia. Well, my mum came as an international student. She was from the Philippines originally. She came in the 50s, 60s. So she came as a Colombo Plan scholar. So it's a tradition that's happened for many, many years. And I think now that we're past COVID, it's going to go back the other way. So it's going to probably be better for international students to apply to study.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Question? All right, we'll come to you in a minute. Oh, no, you go first. You go first. First. Second.
Hello, I'm Julia. I'm a Dewi sister. As a sister, that I care about my little sister so much, and I love her, and I can't believe that she's gonna study in Australia. And then my question here is like, whose responsibility if she gets sick there or get an accident that we both don't want to have?
Yeah,
you know.
Good question.
And then it's whose responsibility? Is that the student responsibility, the parents, or like the campus or the college responsibility? That's my question so far, because I know that any like six or so. That's my question. Thank you.
So in terms of the responsibility, there's a couple levels there that you're already talking about. One is the medical responsibility. Okay, so the medical responsibility is covered under your overseas student healthcare cover. So what that does is it means that if anything happens to her, so whether she gets ill or she has an accident and needs to go to hospital, her treatment is as if though she was an Australian, and as if though I would have an accident and I would go to hospital. The treatment is no different. So if anything, the treatment is better, okay, because it's private health insurance that she has. So in regards to the medical side of things, yeah, we can't have students coming and not being covered
Exactly.
with health insurance. So that's part of the government legislation. Okay, so she needs that. And what that means then is she's always got that safeguard. So if there's emergency surgery needed or anything like that, it happens as a result of that health cover that she has. In terms of worrying about her and her responsibility, the truth is a student, once they reach 18, they're an adult in Australia. So technically, she's an adult. That's not to say that we don't get involved. If there's any problems that she might be having, we've got our support team, both pastoral care support and also academic support to give her. So if she's having issues with her studies academically, she's got someone she can go to. We have student, so Study Perth is mentioned a little bit in my presentation, but Study Perth is also a bit like the fabric or the glue that sticks international students together in Perth. Okay, so there's a lot of social events they can get involved in, but there's also a lot of study skills. For example, the other week we got to the end of our financial year. Our financial year goes from the 30th of June to the 1st of July through to the 30th of June every year. And at the end of that, you need to lodge a tax return to submit to the government. Okay? So Study Perth ran a tax return workshop for international students, and it just did it in the student hub. So they had a tax professional come in and help all the international students that wanted to know a bit more about how to submit their income tax. There's lots of little workshops like that occur. We had at Study Perth, they had a Indonesian food festival just about 4 weeks ago, where the Indonesian students from various institutions got together, and they were usually the commercial cookery students, cooked food, and then various nationalities of international students all come together and celebrate the Indonesian night. They've had a Filipino night, they've had Brazilian night, and so there's a lot of that goes on. So in terms of your question, who's responsible? She's responsible. In terms of who else is responsible, we all are. We all work as a community.
Okay, thank you so much.
No worries.
Untuk pertanyaan terakhir mungkin ya.
Thank you. My name is Gusti. I have a question about the skill occupation list, because the skill occupation list in Australia is always changing every year, right?
Yeah, it does.
So,
that's right.
I have a plan to take a diploma like carpentry or welder, but I wonder if this job will be still available in the next 3 or 4 years like that.
In that period of time, yes.
Yes, but I'm afraid that if I take this course, maybe in the future this job is not available anymore in the skill occupation list.
It's a good question. because the skilled occupation list does change. There's two lists though, I'm not sure if you're aware. So there's a medium occupation list and there's the long term. There's the MODL and there's a short term, medium term and then long term lists. The long term lists are looking at like long term careers. But we have a skill shortage in that is either short term or medium term at the moment, which is more prevalent, and those lists do change on a yearly basis. There are some occupations that don't really leave those lists though. They always seem to always be there. And at the moment there's a number of occupations that have come onto that list. So for example, you mentioned carpentry. So if you were doing roof carpentry or anything along the area of building, there's going to be a significant skill shortage in that area for a period of time now. There's a lot of building companies that are requiring workers, they just don't have them. Even bricklayers are earning a lot of money now just being able to lay bricks because there's just not enough people to do the jobs. So you would be looking at medium term, so that's between a 4 to 6 year period. Those occupations will probably remain on the list.
How to check that skill occupation list? Is there any website provide?
Yeah,
the list?
you can just Google it on the website. So you can go skilled occupation list Australia. That will come up with the Australian list. You go skill occupation list Western Australia, and that will come up with the WA lists. They are different. Okay, so each state has a different list.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all for the
questions
Q&A.
over.
Yeah, because we need to move to another section.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it. What are we doing now? What's next?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniel Sprague, for the presentation about TAFE International Western Australia. Jadi ya, teman-teman untuk pertanyaan lainnya nanti bisa hubungi kami juga di NIEC ya, kantor kami ada di Buluh Indah di Denpasar. Nanti misalkan mau konsultasi juga bisa banget ke kantor kami ya untuk konsultasi lebih lanjut, untuk ada pertanyaan lebih lanjut juga tentang TAFE Western Australia, nanti akan kami hubungkan dengan Mr. Daniel Sprague. Kayak gitu. Untuk teman-teman semuanya juga, misalkan pengen ada acara-acara seperti ini untuk mengikuti acara lanjutan ya seperti TAFE eksklusif invitation untuk kampus-kampus lain, bisa juga pantengin di Instagram kami ya di @NIEC_Indonesia. Untuk selanjutnya mungkin di sini juga ada yang pengen dapat event-event lain menariknya kayak gitu. Kalian juga mungkin di sini udah ada beberapa yang member. Di sini Kak Dedi juga mau singkat aja penjelasan tentang member ya. Jadi untuk member NIEC itu adalah langkah pertama sebelum kalian daftar ke kampus luar negeri kayak gitu. Jadi setelah ini kalau beberapa mungkin yang belum ikut member ya, di sini juga mostly kebanyakan udah ikut member. Kalau yang belum, ini juga kami ada event spesial ya, event spesial, promonya juga spesial. Kita ada promo 65% ya. Nanti kalau kalian pengen daftar di TAFE Western Australia, pastinya untuk yang pertama kalian bisa join member NIEC terlebih dahulu. Untuk join member NIEC kita ada promo di sini spesial 60% ya. Jadi untuk harga normalnya itu 600.000, kalau dengan promo 65% nanti kalian bisa daftar dengan 210.000 kayak gitu. Untuk info selanjutnya nanti bisa pendaftarannya bisa di meja registrasi untuk mulai daftar member seperti itu ya. Jadi untuk pendaftaran ke kampus TAFE Western Australia yang pertama kalian bisa jadi member dulu supaya masuk data-data kalian ke sistem. Setelah itu kalian juga bisa menuju ke proses selanjutnya yaitu pengumpulan dokumen. Langsung nanti bisa konsultasi untuk jurusannya dan bisa didaftarkan oleh tim NIEC seperti itu. Oke, untuk acara selanjutnya nanti kita akan ada closing ya. Setelah itu akan ada dinner juga ya buat teman-teman semua, Bapak Ibu juga seperti itu. Sebelum menuju ke acara selanjutnya, mungkin dari Bapak Ibu, adik-adik ada yang ingin ditanyakan? Cukup ya? Oke, cukup. Kalau begitu sambil menunggu untuk yang sebelah kita bisa gabungkan, bisa kita putarkan video tentang TAFE International Western Australia terlebih dahulu.
you.